You're still bullish on DeFi? DeFi still your jam?
Oh, very much so. It's like, yeah, like I remember CryptoKitties breaking the chain.
Okay. So you're
So like
truly
that's,
here.
that's like, yeah. Um,
So this is why I like having Chair on degen day, because Chair's way more degen than I am.
I'm still bullish on DeFi. I don't think it's going anywhere. It really can't. Uh, um, that's that's my degen
That's it. That's the
perspective.
whole.
Hmm.
That's the
No,
whole show. I hope you enjoyed.
regulation. It's very concerning what's happening with regulation. And whitelisted, blacklisted addresses, contracts, sort of nodes following along with orders coming from up top or somewhere, and excluding data. That's highly concerning to me. However, the ease, quote unquote, of forking chains, starting your own chain, uh, the increasing ease of bridging and migrating liquidity. Uh, I think the future is still quite bright, even if things are slow or broken from a regulatory standpoint.
Oh, this is why we're going to talk about if DeFi is dead or not today, which is, so we only have 3 topics with Chair today because we have so much to say about them. Our first one is about the current bear market and how $54 million were withdrawn in the last week. And then we're going to talk about FTX because we have to, and his wonderful parents. And then we'll have a little discussion about the native rights of tokens and if that's important or not. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's
We're going to
do
do
it.
the video. Love the video. I gave you the punk rock video. I felt like hip hop wasn't going to be your jam. Did I misread?
No, both work very much so. Emo's coming back, by the way. Super side note.
I know.
Super
Isn't
side note.
Avenged
Emo's coming
Sevenfold on tour again?
back. Not sure, but cool. But hey, there's a band called Like Roses that I'm really into right now out of San Francisco, female-led emo, like throwback band to like 2003. Really stoked on them. Anyway,
I feel like Y2K fashion is back in again, which means that, juicy couture while you listen to your emo music is going to be here.
I'm gonna start sagging again.
Yes, there you go. How many chains will you attach to your jeans to ensure the full sag effect?
I don't know, but I'm getting a studded belt with the Cadillac belt buckle. I can't believe I ever got rid of the one I had.
Yeah, that's a shame. One of my first jobs was working at a belt booth in a mall, and all of the belts said on them genuine Italian design. And because I lived in a smaller rural area, people thought that was really fancy. And so they would buy their studded belts and then brag about them being of Italian design.
Really, to get where I come from, all you had to say was like famous stars and straps or something
Ooh.
Travis Barker related.
Yeah.
That's what moved belts in the 909.
All right, weird tangent that we had to take. But before we really go anywhere, I guess you already answered, but is DeFi dead? Do you think DeFi's dead?
I mean, if you look at the if you look at the volume in the charts, you would say that that maybe its health is not so great. But I'd say no, not absolutely not. The core principles of DeFi are now. It's like, is encryption dead? Like, no, it can't die even if there's laws against it. It still can't die, right? It's just sort of you know, unless there's a death penalty. No, it's not dead. I'm excited. I think it's a repeat. I'm starting to repeat myself a lot, but we are still a little bit away from the halvening, and then all of the descending things that happen from that historically. And we're starting from a much the foundation that we have built at this point. The foundation that's built at this point. I know it's far from dead, in my humble
Well, how do we then account for 54 million being withdrawn in the 5th consecutive week of massive crypto? I'm not going to say DeFi, crypto sell-offs. I say not DeFi because
Yeah.
a lot of it's BTC.
Specifically, who knows? But I would, I don't keep my eye on any of the charts anymore, just for sanity's sake.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I'd be really concerned when, the total market cap of everything starts dipping below, or if it dips below half a trillion, which I don't think it has, and I'm not going to check right now, but
Oh
somebody can
no.
go, this guy's an idiot, right here. But other than that, I think we're well above that still. And as soon as we hit over 1 trillion again, that's when it's going to get wild, because that's when the bigger actors are motivated and incentivized to actually
Sure.
play their games, which in itself, it's funny. It's like, watch Mark Cuban. Like, anytime Mark Cuban gets pwned or exploited or loses a ton of money, like, things are just heating up. And I think his MetaMask was hacked like this past week. So
It was.
here we go, folks. It's like it's almost as reliable as an inverse Kramer. Mark Cuban popping his head up. Hello, Mark. Maverick's too boring this summer.
You said that you haven't looked at a chart, so look at this one. That's it. It's a Yahoo chart, so we're not going to be too sad about it, okay?
Ha.
But I thought this
Maverick's
was
really fun.
an interesting component of assets under management, right? So this is actually where we're seeing a lot of the outflow of our crypto, especially Bitcoin, is instead of it being the outflow of individuals or retail sales, it does appear to be assets under management.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I would say that we're in an accumulation phase.
What does that mean?
No, it's completely irrelevant when we're talking about that chart. But I say it's a good time to get in general when a chart looks like that, if we're looking at a price. But assets under management, certainly anyone who's managing anything intelligently at this point is probably stop lossing. There's also like the market is so weird in general and still so young, especially in ETH. Like, Bitcoin is a little older, but that they're all the old algorithms, formulas, management tools, like people with incredible experience in traditional markets trying to manage, and like these institutional funds that are coming in, or these huge or larger size funds and assets that are coming in, are being managed still, some of them, by traditional asset managers, when they should be managed by like a 17-year-old, like, ultra degen, like that, and that paradigm. So like when that happens, like, although, yeah. So anyway, to not get off track, probably intelligent fund management would dictate that, get it out of there in these uncertain and weird times. But I think, I don't know, looking at what happened in 2020 and 21 on that chart, I think we're going to eclipse.
I'm amused
Far
that you think degens should be managing things like Grayscale, because I don't disagree, but of course they are large, and so whenever they have any sort of movement in the market, it becomes almost market manipulation because they're just carrying so much of it, right? A lot of people were saying that the most recent August dip in Bitcoin was related to SpaceX devaluing its Bitcoin holdings and selling quite a lot of it, which, like,
that's bullish.
absolutely. So the other thing about this is that we're seeing it's mostly assets under management, as I mentioned. And so, for example, Grayscale Investments has been just liquidating their Bitcoin holdings, like their Bitcoin futures. But Grayscale Investments also said yesterday, I believe, that they are also no longer going to manage a number of their ETH products, specifically ETH proof of work tokens, because they don't believe that they can technically own them under the current regulatory space. So as of September 26, 2022, they will be closing that like whole side of their business and no longer running that as a product.
Their ETH proof of work tokens.
Yep.
Meaning what?
Just ETH POW is what they're saying. They're no longer going to hold it for people.
So wait. So, okay, if I understand correctly, Grayscale The Grayscale.
The
Is this
Grayscale.
ETH POW, like that fork of ETH that happened as
Yes.
soon? And Grayscale was, I mean, sorry, call me out of touch. I had no idea they were, so they're, I mean, this is also bullish. They're messing, like, okay, hold on.
Did I break you? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, holy moly. Maybe this is a great follow-up. So Grayscale, in all of their might and wisdom, decided at some point, someone advised them that it would be wise to offer a product based on the forked ETH POW token that came out as soon as proof of stake went live.
That's right.
And in all their wisdom and boardroom meetings, they decided maybe there really is a degenerate Grayscale. There probably, you know what? There is a degenerate Grayscale.
There's got to be.
That was
Otherwise,
like,
they
you
wouldn't
know
be
what we have
offering
to
ETH
do?
POW futures. Like,
Wow. Yeah, no, I'm legitimately and honestly shocked that they were messing with that as a product.
well, they're not going to be anymore. Which then we see assets under management have another outflow, and then people get FUD about it. Whereas I would actually see that as a degen as a super positive. But I mean, I like when companies leave, though. How do you feel about, before we move on from this topic, how do you feel about futures being semi-regulated in America and kind of being allowed? Example, BlackRock Bitcoin futures. Yeah, I always make that face too when I talk about BlackRock.
You know, allowed or not allowed, they are going to be involved. It's that 1 trillion. I don't know. I don't remember where I learned and heard this, but that 1 trillion total market cap point is sort of where you can see them really enter. As soon as it crosses over, that's when the games and the manipulation begin for them. And then when we fall back under, things slow down, and there's this sort of tide effect happening, which, once we go over 1 trillion, they're sort of preparing for, like, it'll, and with inflation insanity, who knows what's going to happen, but they're preparing for a very public long-term management of things while they do whatever they do in the background and on the side. And they need to normalize this, just as it's becoming normalized, at least in the United States. The BlackRock is buying every house for cash that they can, and if not them, then the other big three, the other two of the big three. I'm not going to name them, DYOR. But so very interesting, like very, very, very interesting. If it's going to have the same effect as they have had on the housing market and other things, oh boy, it's going to be interesting. But the fun thing about Bitcoin, the more you try to kill it, the stronger you make it. So absolutely, BlackRock, stack Bitcoin, please. It's going to be fun to see how they try to how they manipulate it. It's going to be wild.
We'll get there. Well, talking of manipulation, how do you feel about SBF's parents?
I can't believe it. So, like, the details, or some of the details, are that they are being litigated upon due to receiving assets from SBF or FTX, and there's very available like in public wire transfers and things, so like to the tunes of tens of millions of dollars at least that they benefited from the FTX Ponzi. This all, and it's sort of like the thread that I'm following here, is that this entire group of actors are seemingly way too intelligent to be this
collectively
moronic.
Idiotic.
Yeah. And whatever that points to in terms of what's actually going on, I'm not sure. But like the public narrative here, at least the story that's painted publicly and in popular media, is it's strange. And this type of, like, there's certain, I don't know what they are, but certainly there are ways to obfuscate these types of things to protect, of all people, your parents, who put you in that position in the first place. So they should be smart enough to know, right? With their relationships that they have, their deep relationships with all the regulators and different institutions. So how do we even get here? How do we get here that it's this like National Enquirer level story of just of dumb acting with like with this, let's say, type and class of people with their background and what their how does this happen? I don't know. I'm like or at least that's what I'm following is like what's how do we get here and what is contributing to this storyline? Are they
Absolutely.
trying to look dumb? Like because that's what it seems like. They're trying to look really dumb to get the benefit of the doubt. I don't know.
It's gonna sound
I'm
weird.
not
Did you
sure.
ever watch Schitt's Creek?
I did like first 2 seasons. It went pretty
Yeah,
good.
yeah. Just like
Yeah.
that concept of being overtly rich and making a lot of bad decisions because you kind of lose touch with reality. Sometimes I wonder if that comes into play here. Like, remember when
It could be
SBF was in the
useful.
news for like having a one-bedroom apartment in the Bahamas that he would work from, and people were all in awe that he was living so modestly despite being a super millionaire?
But nobody was actually in awe, and
Right.
those were all
But like, do you remember
produced
those
stories
articles?
from yeah. It was like,
So I think they've
yeah.
come to feel like untouchable, like they can't really do anything wrong, right?
I think the propaganda machine is broken. I think this might be one of the last attempts of like the old way of doing things. Like, but like dude, to call back to Schitt's Creek, like it wouldn't be funny unless I actually bought the town. Is one of the
Right.
funniest jokes from the pilot. Like, oh my god.
Absolutely.
But so like there, to me, it's like it's all very useful. And there's a
Right.
second word after useful I won't use, but it seems like everyone it seems very useful. Sam, his parents, the connections, the public, the story that's being played out in public here, and sort of like, for the people that are incredibly deeply involved every day, we have our own perspective, but it's not really for us. It's for the undecided people.
Right.
That's what's really important here is people who are undecided about like there's a lot of people based on this narrative, and I don't know, like they're suing his parents, like okay, but based on this narrative, a lot of people are going to think Sam is a victim here, and
Yes.
that's the story that they've been playing since he started tweeting like the WHAT happened, like terrible, can't mean awful. So like since that point, there's all the people that have already decided and kind of understand who he is and what he is and what he did, but then there's all the people who are like, this is a new thing, and yes, FTX lost a lot of money for a lot of people and
Mhm.
blah blah, but there's a percentage, a non-insignificant percentage of people that are going to think that Sam is a victim and somehow his parents are a victim, and that so I see that playing out, and that's all very useful.
Mhm.
um I don't know,
I like the narrative of useful here because it's absolutely true. They used money in a way that it was useful. They used debt in a way that it was useful. They used their accountants and their lawyers in a way that's useful, and now they'll use each other. Right? That's what that looks like. Um,
beautiful.
okay, to wrap up today, we're gonna have a little bit of a discussion about the concept of DeFi native rights. And so, if you are a big degen news person, you probably saw a couple of op-eds this week about the idea that native rights are really critical to continue keeping DeFi alive, to ensure that DeFi doesn't die amidst all of these like dramatic things like FTX, amidst all of the regulation. But what we keep seeing is that we want more interoperability. We want more cross-chain. We want to be able to store NFTs on a network that they weren't built on, and we want to be able to use a token on a network that it wasn't designed for. So do we lose utility? Do we gain utility? What does that kind of look like? And I know that you have a lot to say about this, but I just thought I would give a shout out to those who have been doing the op-eds about it, and to those who have been doing more formal publications about it, including the Financial Stability Institute. Their 49th publication was 100% on crypto tokens and DeFi and how native tokens might be regulated. So if you are not super educated on this topic, if you haven't done your own research yet, try the op-eds, try some actual academic publications too. But I think that we've done our reading to have the discussion. So,
I think it ties right into regulation, or I mean, it's all really a regulation conversation. And from maybe a more naive perspective, I wonder, like, can they kill ETH to the point, or let's say, can ETH be regulated to the point where it's not validating? Like, let's say someone builds another layer 2 or another rollup out there, like optimism, but like a degen optimism that's for the degens, and liquidity gets migrated over there. And then it comes down from the sanctioneers and the regulators that any nodes that validate blocks, including these tokens that were migrated over there, bridged over there, coming back, like, you're all in trouble. You know, or like, and is that going to be the move? You know, and then if it's native tokens, say ETH, that goes over there in this very simple and probably incorrect example, if it's ETH that goes over there, like, what happens to that ETH that doesn't come back or is not allowed to come back? There, I know there was an article, like mixing pool, like privacy pools, that came out like last week or 2 weeks ago, kind of discussing this very thing. In that, so I think that I'm very concerned that that's the direction that we're going in. Although I think it's always choice. I think, like, Pandora's box is opened new. Now the problem is, like, to have a truly decentralized network, if we're gonna fork and go somewhere else, eventually you're not gonna have enough node operators to be decentralized, and certainly you can non-linear warfare sort of, which we're probably already in the middle of, sort of like, how do we dilute, like, if I was the opposition, like if I was trying to kill all of this, like, how do I dilute the foundation? How do I separate the foundation enough so that they cannot reform somewhere else at all? And that's, I think, probably what we're looking at.
It's interesting, the concept of reforming. There's also this kind of regulatory aspect of, if we move our native token from its native network, it no longer has utility and ergo naturally becomes a security. But the way that you're kind of talking about it, it's possible that it could have some sort of new utility somewhere else, which is an interesting idea.
Why am I like, all of a sudden, yeah, it's like living in the, I want to go back to living in the fantasy world. It's like, all these things are possible and regulation will never come. This is amazing. $100 gas fees. Those are all coming, by the way.
Aging yourself.
No, I'm really interested, like, I guess going all the way back to, like, is DeFi dead, and tying it into this. DeFi summer 2024 will have so many L2s, rollups, Arbitrum, Optimism, what have you, everywhere, without the gas fees, which were the number one thing. Every sort of normie that crossed over and was getting involved, the number one thing was like, what is this gas fee right now? And like, and then, the 5 steps to farm, and then the 5 steps to get it out, and $100 each time. It's not going to be there anymore. So it's like, I don't know. I think that's another thing. We have at least one huge run before the regulation really goes to bananas. I don't know.
So DeFi's not dead yet? Is that what you're telling me? That's what you got to. Okay, well, we have come full circle. Before we go, do you have any other, like, degen thoughts that you need to get out in the world?
What am I bullish on? I was Friendtech is still around. But it's interesting, like, I'm still, I think I was wrong. I have to, like, self-report in that, like, I was sort of incredibly skeptical on the last show that I was on. I'm starting to see potentially some of the value. I'm very concerned about some of the other things, like some of the privacy issues with it. However, let's say I want to be transparent, and I was wrong about Friend Tech a month
Are you
ago.
on Friend Tech now?
No, God no. But follow me at very comfy VRYCMFY on Twitter, on Lens.
On not Friend Tech.
I'm here to prop you up. You know, the number one reason that I'm not going over there at this point is the time cost, and I'm working on things that I have to be focused on, and less on social media. So that's the main
All
thing.
right. Chair, thank you so much for joining me today for DeFi News. I always feel like we're 10xing our degen level when we have you on, so I appreciate that. But we are a live show Monday to Friday at 10:30 a.m. MST, 12:30 p.m. EST. We're on Twitter, LinkedIn, just everywhere. You can't escape us.
We're on LinkedIn?
Yeah, LinkedIn, Twitch, whatever. All of them.
I'm gonna get over there.
But thank you so much for joining us, Chair. All I have left to say really is go FUD yourself.
Yes, let's. Thank you.
Okay, happy Wednesday.